Hey guys, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching today and welcome to another speed build in Planet Zoo. And today we are starting a similar little one-off project to the Africa restaurant, lion habitat, and hyena habitat thing that we had going on a couple weeks ago or last week, however long ago it was. But that was where we started off by building a building, which was a restaurant. There was no interior, so it was completely implied. And then we had a habitat on one side and then the other. And it was kind of just a one-off thing where it was not part of any current big project that I have going on. It was just, I felt inspired, so I decided to build. And that's what this is here. So this project is the Australia one-off project is what I'm going to be calling it. And it's highly, highly inspired by the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. For those of you guys that haven't been out there, the Safari Park has a really cool Australia walkabout section. I actually have a vlog where I walk through that area and I filmed it. It is back on the channel. I will try to link it here if I remember, but if not, there is a playlist. I believe it's called like Zoo Tours or Zoo Inspiration or something like that, and I have filmed both the San Diego Zoo and the Safari Park, so if you want to go check it out, I highly recommend it. It's really good inspiration to look at real life zoos. But anyway, this is the inspiration that I got for this building. So in that section, there is a building that you can kind of walk up into, and on the back side of this building are the cassowaries, to the left of this building are tree kangaroos, and to the right of this building are the platypus. So when I originally started this build, my idea was that I wanted to build for the cassowaries because I decided randomly that I wanted to build a cassowary habitat. Not sure why or where that came from, but I did. So I thought that we would start with this building in the front. Now that we are done with the building in the front, in the time since I started this and now, we have got the Wetlands Animal Pack announced and we are getting Platypus. I had no idea that Platypus were going to be coming to the game. But how lucky is that and how convenient is that? Now we can add Platypus to the right of this building where they would be in the real life, in the Safari Park. I won't be doing a one-for-one replication of this area just so that you guys are aware. It is heavily inspired by, but it is not meant to be an exact duplicate. Exact duplicates or one-to-one recreations really stress me out, and they're really difficult for me because if something gets a little bit too difficult or it's not looking right, it causes a lot of frustration and I need to move on to something else and possibly come back to it or just adjust it so I think it looks good and that it's easy for me to build. Not necessarily like easy, but just not super complicated. So to avoid that frustration, I really just like building with references and not trying to get things exact. I also think it allows me to be a little bit more creative and think for myself and, you know, create things that I think look pleasing, aesthetically pleasing or cool. So that's what we're going to be doing with this. It's going to be heavily inspired by, but not a one-to-one or an exact replication. Plus, that's a little boring. You know, you guys want to see what I come up with what my brain decides to build, and so that's what this is going to be. But we're just about finishing off the main structure of the building, and you know what? I said this during stream because we did build this, basically this entire thing except for the last like 2 minutes of this video that you're gonna see was built live on stream. If you guys are interested in seeing me build live, normally I would have streamed every Sunday morning at like 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. However, I have started a new job and I no longer have Sundays off for the time being. So we're looking at moving our streams to either Wednesday or Thursday, leaning towards Thursday, but they are going to be on hold for a couple more weeks just so that I can get used to my new work schedule, settle in, and all that kind of fun stuff. But my point of telling you all that is on stream, I had mentioned that I always forget to fill in the little slanted parts on the side of the building underneath the roof. And I told chat that I was not going to forget And I did. Now that I'm looking at this footage, I realize that I didn't go back and I did not finish it. So good thing this is going to be a multiple part series because I can go back and finish that and there won't be giant holes in the roof. But that building is meant to be not a restaurant. So in real life in the safari park, it is kind of just like a food cart in there. It's not a mobile cart or anything. It's there. It's just basically like a snack shop. So you can get like a pretzel or something in there, drinks and whatnot. So I think that's what we're going to do for our build as well, is just put one of those counters in there and make it so that people can come get just a snack or a drink and hang out inside, obviously in the shade. In the safari park, it gets really, really hot because it's out in a valley with very little shade, except for where they have manually planted trees or built structures. So that's what we're going to do for that. So inside will probably just be, like I said, one of those little counters. And then through the building on the backside will still be the cassowaries. That is still my plan. To the left of this building, I believe we're going to do koalas. Unless you guys have a different plan or different idea, let me know. But to the left is meant to be tree kangaroos, and we don't have tree kangaroos in the game. So I'm thinking that koalas would be a pretty good fit because they're still arboreal, they're still going to be up in the trees, so we can still create kind of a similar looking habitat and use the tree kangaroo habitat as a reference. And it'll fit pretty well for the koalas. So that's what I think we're going to do. On the right side of this will be the platypus, and I have not decided what style of habitat I want to create yet. In the safari park, it's kind of like a cave that you walk in, because platypus are nocturnal, so they are not going to come out during the day. They're only going to come out during the night. And so we can't just put them in an open habitat out to the elements. We have to do something inside for them. And you guys know how much I love interiors, but we're going to do it because we love the platypus. But I haven't quite decided exactly what I want to do, if I want to create the same kind of cave structure or do an actual building similar to the style of building that we already built up here, or what. So what I'm starting now is the front part of this little building, which really is kind of just like a facade or decoration, because we don't actually have the animals that I am pretending would be in here. And this is our little turtle pond. So this is a little pond out front, or what will be a little pond out front, so that we can pretend that we have some little turtles swimming around and kind of walking around. That's why there's a really low fence, and we're going to add some foliage, and of course a pond is going to go here. But that is the plan for that. I really hope in the future that we can get some more smaller, like we have the Galapagos tortoise and the Aldabra giant tortoise and stuff, obviously very large tortoise species. So I'm hoping in the future we can get some smaller, more not really ambient animals, but just smaller filler animals is what I would really love to see. So, you know, we could put like red-eared sliders in here or something like that, and just like that way they would swim around in the pond and just be a little bit of movement in the front area here. But that is kind of the plan. So it's supposed to be a little turtle pond. So we're just doing some decoration and some decor all the way around. We're going to add some like not broken, but some planks, wood planks and stuff like that are kind of patched together to make it more of that like outbacky Australian kind of decor that you see in a lot of like heavily themed Australia sections in zoos and stuff like that. So that's what we're gonna do here. I absolutely love, these are like ceiling fan cables or something like that from the Europe pack. I absolutely love how itty bitty they are. All the tiny pieces that we got with the Europe pack are absolutely fantastic. So I'm loving using them as railing because they look much more like cable is what this is meant to be than actual like metal poles. So I'm hoping that that comes across and that you can kind of see they're meant to be more like cables holding everybody back than actual like metal. And then we're getting onto surrounding the pond. And I decide, you can see me trying a couple different things here. I decide to do the tried and true, just plaster all the way around the pond and make it look like it is built into the ground, because obviously we would need to drain this pond and clean it. It is man-made, it's not a natural pond, and so we're going to use these plaster cylinders all the way around to kind of make the lip of the pond. And I'm going to very roughly trace around the entirety of the pond, and then we'll remove the water, adjust the terrain, because as of right now, I haven't put down any path. This is all just building pieces. So we can adjust the water safely without headache and not have to worry about it not going back in or being obstructed or something like that. So we're gonna surround the entire pond in this like little lip. And then we're gonna take some plaster pieces and make the little slope down, cover the bottom, and then put a drain in it so that it actually looks like a pond. Of course, we're gonna continue around the edge of it with more rocks and more foliage and things like that, just to make it kind of fit in. I will say, when we get to the foliage part, you might be able to tell, I started with making what I'm calling a foliage palette, and it's my new favorite thing to do, is kind of bring out all the plants that I think I want to use in a build, and then I can pull from there instead of going through and scrolling through the menu a bunch of times. Oh yeah, here I decide when you're doing a curve, this curve on this side, you can see it kind of leaves gaps in the plaster. Instead of dealing with like painstakingly making them match and everything, I just cover them up with rocks. We decided on stream that mistakes and everything just get covered with rocks, and then they're not mistakes. They're just part of your decor and nobody ever has to know, except for the fact that I'm telling you. But you know, regardless, that's what we're doing there. Anyway, back to foliage. So I am going to create a little palette and pull from there so I don't have to scroll through the menu a bunch of times. But I kind of struggled with this because in the reference picture I was looking at, there is kind of sparse vegetation. It's not like overly planted, but it was kind of a mixture between like purposefully landscaped and like just random plants everywhere. In the end, I think we got it right, but I do have to play with it a couple times just to make sure that I do get it right and I get the look that I'm going for. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video, as you might have been able to tell. I love building on stream, but I build much slower on stream because I'm stopping to look at chat and talking with everybody, getting people's input, and I'm not just kind of directly thinking about the build. But it's fun because you guys help me make decisions, look for pieces, you know, tell me what looks good and what doesn't as we're building. So I do enjoy building on stream, and I do want to get back to it a little bit more than I have in the recent weeks. I've been very busy, but yeah, so hopefully I will figure out a day for streaming and let you guys know very soon. You can see here we're adding some more cables in between here, some little planks, obviously giving it that kind of outbacky patched together kind of feel. And yeah, at some point we work on a ramp down, and I originally do a ramp on both sides. However, I thought it looked like too much. So we end up just keeping the ramp on the right-hand side that you can go up, and you do have to go up and down that way. Normally I like to build loops so that you kind of go up and can kind of continue through and not have to backtrack on where you came in. But in this case, I'm willing to make an exception because it really it didn't look good. It was too much. So this one, maybe up on the left-hand side around the koala habitat, it'll like continue somewhere else off into, if you want to download this eventually when it goes up on the workshop, to continue it off in your zoos, you can do that. But for now, the ramp on the right-hand side is what we stick with. But yeah, you can see here, this is the foliage palette that we're using. Lots of low-lying foliage. I'm using the aquatic grass at first because I was trying to lean more towards like overly saturated colors, excuse me, overly saturated colors, but then I like the more neutral, like the blue-green kind of grass of the African grass, or the color of the African grass. So I end up using the African grass. It's my favorite piece. I don't know why I try anything else ever, because I love it. But this is where I was putting those like purple tropical plants, and at first I liked them, but I don't know. They look too fake to me for this build. Maybe for other builds it would be different, but I end up not liking them, so I changed them. Trees was one thing that I really had a hard time with because I was trying to put some height in this enclosure without overpowering the building because I wanted the view of the building to be nicely framed, so when you're standing down at the bottom you can look up and you can kind of see the building, which it does need a few more details looking at it, but we'll get to those in future updates or future episodes. Talking about the Wetlands Pack real quick. So I know it comes out when you're seeing this, it's going to come out in like 2 days or so. Are you guys excited? I am very excited. So I wanted to talk about my plans for it very quickly. I have started a couple habitats. I actually started a capybara habitat before we officially got the capybara announced because we were all so sure that it was going to be a part of the pack, or at least part of the future. So I started on that. But then after the announcement came, I also started on a red-crowned crane habitat. One of those will probably be what you see first from me, but at some point, like I said, the platypus is going to be in this project. So I'm not quite sure if I will do the platypus first or if I will do the cassowaries in this project first. The smart thing would probably be to do the platypus first, just because that is going to be the new animal. Everybody's going to be excited for it. But I also just recently have really just wanted to build where my inspiration is. So I don't know if I will get inspiration for the platypus habitat first, or if I'll get inspiration for the cassowary, or maybe even the koala first. But that's how this project will continue on. You can, as always, let me know what you think down below. Excuse me, so sorry. My allergies have been going crazy this last week. As I've mentioned a couple times before, I started a new job. It is pretty far from me and it's out in outside a lot because I'm working with wildlife and I'm working with animals, lots of dust and all that kind of stuff, and so my allergies have been adjusting as well. So I've been very sneezy, very congested, so hopefully you can't hear it too much in my voice, but yeah, dealing with a lot of allergies. I had to take a allergy medicine last night just to fall asleep, and then I woke up all groggy because it made me a bit sleepy. So anyway, apologies if you can tell, but that's what I'm dealing with now. Going back to the actual build, so that's the plan for this. I am very excited to keep going with it. I'm really enjoying these one-off little builds. I know you guys do enjoy big projects, like actual zoo projects, because you guys get invested, you like following along and seeing the development of them, but they can be quite overwhelming for builders sometimes, and especially myself. So like I said, I'm trying really hard recently to build where my inspiration is and not step outside of that. And what I mean is like not just build what would be popular or what people want to see or something like that, or build what I feel like I should be building. I'm just wanting to build what I get inspiration for. It's a lot more fun for me, and the end result I do think is a lot better, because if I'm feeling inspired to build something and I'm enjoying building it, the end result comes out a whole lot better than if I'm having to force it and push myself through. I do not want to abandon any of my projects, so I don't want to abandon Mayberry Park Zoo, I don't want to abandon Socorro, or anything like that, but for the time being, building stuff like this is really helping me out. That being said, content will likely slow down on the channel just because I have started a new job and it is still a 40-hour-a-week full-time job like I had before. However, my commute is about an hour. So whereas my commute was about 12 to 15 minutes beforehand, so I was working an 8-hour day with about 30 minutes of commute, now I'm actually there for 9 hours because we work for 8 hours and we have an hour lunch, and then I commute an hour on top of that. So I have 11 hours in my work day that is away from the computer, versus before I had about 8.5 hours that were away from my computer or away from home. I still have all my pets, a boyfriend, and a house that I have to take care of, and I kid, of course. I don't actually have to take care of the boyfriend, but you guys know what I mean. Matt is very important, and we, you know, go out and do things and have a life and whatnot. So that's where I'm just missing a bit of time in my work week that I had before, that I just don't have time for content. But it's not going away. I have no plans to abandon YouTube or anything like that. I have way too much fun doing it. In fact, I wanted to announce it now. I have worked a little bit on a new merch line. First and foremost is going to be a sticker design. If you guys have seen it on my Twitter or my Discord, I have shared it there. The order is in for those, and I am hoping that they arrive very, very soon. And then you'll be able to purchase merch straight through my website instead of going through a third party with like Teespring or something like that. I just felt like the quality with Teespring was not up to my standards, and I'm not able to set the prices to what I want them to be because it's a third party. They obviously take a cut, and then the merchandise costs so much, and then I've got to sell it and whatnot. I just ended up having to sell things for much more expensive than I wanted to. So if I bring it under my own umbrella, use my own website and everything, it costs a little bit for me up front, which is the difference between Teespring and doing it this way, but I'm able to sell more of what I want, have more freedom for you guys to help me, you know, develop merch and stuff like that. But then I can also bring it down to a lower price point so that it's more reasonable. My idea for merch is never to be a millionaire off of it. It's not to make $1,000 or something like that, or thousands of dollars. It's just to have fun stuff for you guys to purchase to be able to support me. And that way you're getting something in return and you can proudly display it, use it, whatever you want to do with it. So that is the plan for that. So I will make an announcement when all of that is officially done. It will probably come out in little increments. So I'll have like one line of stickers or one pin or one shirt or one tumbler cup or something like that. We'll kind of release at a time just because I don't have the capital, the upfront money to purchase a whole bunch of merch all at once. So they'll kind of roll out slowly as I'm able to make orders for that. So if you guys have ideas on what you would want, let me know, because I would love to hear what you guys would like developed. Jumping back to the build very quickly, because we are actually almost done. We're adding up some of the finishing details here on the outside of the building, but you guys may have noticed that a little water tower just kind of like appeared out of nowhere in front, and I'm so sorry. I thought I was recording and I wasn't. Classic professional YouTuber move there, and I missed it. So I don't have the footage of that. I'm so sorry, but I did want to include that because the original reference picture that I was looking at, it definitely does have a little water tower water reservoir out front, but then I thought it was a cool little addition as well because it's a cute way of adding some water filtration into our pond so that we don't just have a stagnant pond water thing going on in front. We want it to be nice, fresh, clean water for the most part for our turtle friends. So I added the little aqueduct things coming out of it, and that's where water would kind of pour out, and then somewhere else or down the drain, you know, it would get sucked back up, and plumbing stuff. I'm not going to try to attempt to know how plumbing works, but you guys get the point. So it's our little water feature. Just pretend kind of water running out of there like a little waterfall. We don't have small enough VFX for me to do anything as far as that goes to like actually make it look like water's coming out, but that's where we're going just to have to extend our imagination just a little bit and pretend that there's water coming out. We are now adding some what would be like skylights in the top of the roof there just for some added detail. I added the pipe work on the front. We're going to add some benches and some trash cans, as well as this little fence around on the outside. Not doing too much in the way of the guest area, but definitely wanting to make it look like it is more or less completed, like it's not just kind of sat in the middle of nowhere. I end up, like I mentioned before, I take away that left-sided ramp because it just looked like it was too much, but then like the professional Planet Zoo builder that I am, I didn't realize that I had kept the left side of the ramp with the right side of the ramp in a building group, and I deleted it, and it took me a while to even notice that I actually deleted the right side of the ramp as well. You'll notice that here in a minute. As soon as I delete it, it deletes the other side, and then I continue building like that without realizing that the right side of the ramp is gone for a while, and I don't actually realize it until I go in to take the end cinematics and realize that the ramp is completely gone. So I do build that again off stream or off recording, but I didn't want to include it just because, you know, you already saw me build it once and all I'm doing is doing it again, because at this point it's now gone. I deleted that part of the ramp and I'm kind of capping this off over here to prepare for the koala exhibit, and you can see the ramp is completely gone on the right hand side. If I would have just you know, taken time to notice, I don't know how I didn't notice, because like look at all this building that I do, and we're not done. I'm gonna build like a little sign and kind of zoom around here, and even when I zoom in like this, look, I don't even notice, and it's right there. Do you guys ever get that tunnel vision when you're building? Like, I was so focused on this railing and finishing up the little details that I just completely missed it, because you can see it like plain as day in all of these shots here, all the rest of the recording, but nope, didn't notice, just continued on with my thing. So here I almost forgot to record, but I remembered, so that's why it kind of cut where the art shapes were already out. But here I am building just a little implied education sign. So we're going to put one on either side of the turtle pond, and that way the guests can read about our turtles, maybe about some of the Australian wildlife, or not wildlife, Australian foliage that we have throughout the habitat. It's just a very quick, easy, simple sign. I do miss kind of making these little signs. I know we have billboards, but I always forget to put pictures in the billboards anyway, so these ones I don't have to worry about that. And they just add like a level of charm, I think. But with that, we are pretty much done. We're gonna go ahead and jump into some cinematics. So as always, if you guys enjoyed this video, do leave a like down below. It really does help me out. Hit that subscribe button if you're interested in any future Planet Zoo content. We'll definitely be heavily covering the Wetlands Animal Pack when it comes out in a couple days. And leave your suggestions, comments, and feedback down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk at you guys in the next video. Bye!